In the heart of Tanzania, where the great Rift Valley carves a dramatic path through the earth, the land itself seems to breathe with memory. Here the sun rises over endless savannas, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, while ancient baobabs stand sentinel, their gnarled limbs reaching skyward as if to touch the stories of millennia past. The air is thick with the scent of wild sage and dust, carried on a breeze that whispers through the grasslands. Every stone, every root, every shifting shadow holds the imprint of those who have walked here since the dawn of humanity. Wildlife stirs as the first light touches the land. Herds of impala move silently through the undergrowth, their delicate hooves barely disturbing the earth. Birds call out, their songs echoing across the valley, a living symphony that has played for thousands of years. The ground is a canvas of stories, fresh tracks of leopard and buffalo pressed into the mud, the intricate trails of insects weaving through the sand. Each mark is a testament to the ceaseless dance of life and survival that unfolds here day after day. Water is precious, hidden in secret pools and shaded hollows. The land is shaped by the rhythm of the rains, the pulse of the dry season, and the promise of renewal that comes with every storm. The bush is a living larder, abundant with wild tubers hidden beneath the soil, honey secreted away in the hollows of ancient trees, and medicinal plants whose secrets are guarded by the land itself. The sky is vast, ever-changing, a canvas for the drama of weather and light. Thunderheads gather in the distance, promising rain or warning of storms, while the sun's relentless gaze bakes the earth, forging resilience in all who dwell here. Even the smallest details speak of endurance and adaptation. Lichen clings to stone, wildflowers burst forth after the rains, and the land renews itself in cycles as old as time. Predators and prey move in silent accord, each attuned to the subtle cues of the environment. Vultures wheel overhead, ever watchful, while chameleons vanish into the foliage, masters of patience and disguise. The land is never truly still. Baboons forage among the rocks, ever wary of danger, while herds of buffalo graze in the distance, their presence a reminder of the raw power and unpredictability of the wild. The rocks themselves bear witness to the passage of time, etched with the faint traces of ancient art and shaped by the elements into forms both strange and familiar. When night falls, the savanna transforms. The sky becomes a tapestry of stars, the Milky Way arching overhead, while the land below is alive with the quiet movements of creatures unseen by day. Owls perch in silent vigil, their eyes catching the moon's glow, while jackals move along ancient trails guided by instincts honed over countless generations. As dawn returns, the mist lifts from the valley, and the cycle begins anew. The land awakens, ancient and eternal, bearing silent witness to the footsteps of those who have come before and those who will follow. In this place, the echoes of ancient footsteps are not lost. They are woven into the very fabric of the land, a living memory preserved in every stone, every blade of grass, every breath of wind. Today, as the golden light spills across the savanna, the land holds its breath, waiting for the next chapter in its timeless story to unfold. The Yaeda Valley unfolds like a living tapestry, a vast and ancient landscape carved by time and the elements, lying quietly in the shadow of distant mountains near Lake Eyasi. Here, the land stretches out in a breathtaking panorama, its contours shaped by millennia of wind and rain, its colors shifting with the seasons, from the deep ochres of the dry months to the lush greens that follow the rains. The valley is a mosaic of habitats, each one distinct yet seamlessly blending into the next. Open grasslands ripple in the wind, their golden blades catching the sunlight, while patches of woodland offer a stark contrast, dense, green, and mysterious. Across the plains, the iconic silhouettes of flat-topped acacia trees punctuate the horizon. Their umbrella-like canopies provide rare islands of shade, sheltering a world of life beneath their branches. The ground is parched and cracked, a testament to the valley's long dry spells, yet even here life persists in remarkable forms. Winding game trails, pressed into the earth by generations of hooves and paws, crisscross the grasslands. These ancient paths are highways for wildlife, their routes dictated by the search for water, food, and safety. Herds of zebra and wildebeest graze in loose formations, their movements synchronized in a delicate dance of survival. The African buffalo, massive and formidable, move with a quiet authority, their dark forms standing out against the pale grass. These animals are the heartbeat of the valley, shaping its rhythms and sustaining its predators. Beyond the open plains, the landscape shifts into dense thickets of acacia and commiphora. Here the air grows cooler and the light more dappled, filtered through a canopy of interlocking branches and glossy leaves. The woodland is a labyrinth of tangled growth, where thorny bushes and twisted vines create a near impenetrable barrier. Shadows play across the ground, and the undergrowth rustles with the secret movements of unseen creatures. Insects flit through shafts of sunlight, their wings catching the light in brief flashes of iridescence. The air is alive with the hum of bees, the whir of cicadas, and the melodic calls of birds hidden high in the branches, each sound a note in the valley's endless symphony. Small mammals dart through the undergrowth, while reptiles bask on sun-warmed rocks. The woodland is home to a remarkable diversity of life. From the elusive bushbuck to the agile vervet monkey, each species perfectly adapted to its niche. Predators, too, make their home here. The stealthy leopard, master of camouflage, moves silently through the shadows while birds of prey circle overhead, their keen eyes scanning for movement below. Danger is ever present. A thicket may conceal a resting lion or a startled buffalo, and every rustle in the grass could signal either opportunity or threat. The balance of life and death is played out daily, often unseen by human eyes. Rising abruptly from the valley floor are the granite kopjes, ancient weathered outcrops that stand as silent sentinels over the landscape. Their surfaces are etched with lichen and moss, and their crevices shelter hyraxes, snakes, and a host of other creatures. From atop these rocky islands, the view is commanding. One can see the endless sweep of the savanna, the slow drift of clouds, and the distant movement of animals, each detail a clue to the valley's ever-changing story. Towering above all else are the baobab trees, their swollen trunks storing precious water, their bare branches reaching skyward like ancient arms. Some of these giants have stood for centuries, their bark scarred by the passage of time and the teeth of elephants. The baobab's fruit, rich in vitamin C, sustains countless animals, while its hollows collect rainwater, offering a lifeline during the harshest droughts. Birds nest in its branches and bats roost in its hollows, making the baobab a miniature ecosystem in itself. The valley's flora is as varied as its terrain. Wildflowers bloom after the rains, painting the ground with bursts of color. Thorny shrubs, succulents, and creepers compete for sunlight, while, underground, a network of roots and tubers stores the valley's hidden wealth. The fauna is equally diverse. In the cool of dawn, antelope emerge to graze, while at dusk, the haunting calls of hyenas echo across the plains. Nocturnal creatures, genets, civets, and owls, take over as darkness falls, each playing its part in the valley's intricate web of life. Even the wind is a storyteller here, carrying the scent of distant rain, the dust of migrating herds, and the songs of birds that travel for miles. The valley's every feature, from the smallest insect to the tallest tree, is woven into a complex, interdependent system. Yaeda Valley is not just a place, but a living, breathing world, one that has evolved over countless generations, shaped by the forces of nature and the creatures that call it home. To truly know this valley is to witness the endless interplay of life and landscape, to feel the pulse of the wild, and to understand that every stone, every leaf, and every shadow has its own story to tell. In the heart of the African wilderness, the Hadzabe hunter's sacred tools are born from a profound relationship with the land. Every weapon, every implement is a testament to generations of accumulated knowledge, patience, and respect for nature's offerings. These tools are not merely objects. They are extensions of the hunter's spirit, forged with intention and reverence for the hunt. The crafting of a bow begins with the careful search for the perfect branch of Growia bicolor, known locally as the Congoroko tree. This wood is prized for its rare combination of strength and flexibility, essential for a weapon that must withstand the rigors of the hunt. The chosen branch is stripped of bark, then slowly shaped and bent, often over the gentle heat of a fire, to coax it into the ideal arc. This process can take days, as the wood is seasoned and tested repeatedly, ensuring it will not splinter or warp under tension. The bowstring is a marvel of natural engineering. Sinew, harvested from the tendons of large animals such as giraffe or wildebeest, is painstakingly separated into fine fibers. These are then twisted and braided, sometimes with the addition of natural resins, to create a cord of remarkable strength and elasticity. The finished string is left to dry and cure, its resilience tested by the pull of the bow, ensuring it will not fail at a critical moment. Arrows are crafted with equal care and specificity. Lightweight straight branches are selected for their balance and minimal taper. Each shaft is meticulously smoothed, then fletched with feathers from vultures or guinea fowl. The feathers are chosen for their aerodynamic properties, split and bound to the shaft with sinew or plant fibers, ensuring the arrow flies true and stable. Every arrow is unique, its construction tailored to its intended prey and the preferences of the hunter. The arrowheads themselves are a study in adaptation. For small game, the tips are carved from hardwood and hardened in fire, a process that toughens the wood and gives it a sharp, durable point. For larger animals, bone or metal tips are used, each one shaped and honed with primitive tools until razor sharp. Metal is rare and highly valued, often obtained through trade with neighboring groups. For the most formidable prey, such as the Cape buffalo, the Hadzabe employ a potent natural poison. The sap of the desert rose shrub is carefully harvested, its milky fluid collected drop by drop. This sap is then boiled over a slow fire, the heat transforming it into a thick, tar-like substance. The process is slow and deliberate, requiring constant attention to avoid overcooking or burning the precious poison. Once ready, the poison is applied to the arrowheads with the utmost care. Each tip is dipped or smeared, the sticky substance coating the metal or bone. The arrows are then set aside to dry, the poison hardening into a lethal glaze. This ritual is performed in silence, a moment of deep concentration and respect for the power they are harnessing. Before the hunt, every tool is inspected and maintained. Arrows are checked for straightness and balance, fletching is adjusted, and tips are tested for sharpness. The bowstring is retied and plucked, its tension adjusted to perfection. Even the small knife, used for everything from skinning game to shaping wood, is honed to a fine edge. The hunter carries only what is essential: his bow, a quiver of arrows, and a knife. Each item is lightweight, durable, and perfectly suited to its purpose. There is no excess, no unnecessary burden, only the tools that have proven their worth through countless hunts and seasons. As the hunter moves through the bush, his tools become an extension of his body. The bow rests lightly in his hand, arrows within easy reach, every movement practiced and silent. The materials, wood, sinew, feather, and stone, blend seamlessly with the environment, allowing the hunter to become nearly invisible, a shadow among shadows. These tools are more than implements of survival. They are vessels of memory and tradition. Each bow, each arrow, carries the marks of its maker, the lessons of ancestors, and the silent promise of the hunt. In the hands of the Hadzabe, they are sacred, a living link between past and present, man and nature. As the first rays of sunlight spill across the savannah, The African wilderness awakens in a symphony of life. Herds of impala and zebra graze quietly in the golden light, their ears flicking at the faintest sound, ever alert to the presence of predators. Birds call from the acacia branches, their songs weaving through the crisp morning air. In the distance, a herd of impala moves with delicate precision, each animal attuned to the subtle cues of its neighbors. Zebra mingle among them, their stripes a living camouflage against the shifting patterns of grass and shadow. A sudden flutter of wings erupts as a flock of birds takes flight, startled by a movement unseen. The air shimmers with their energy, and for a moment the savannah holds its breath. On the ground, a dung beetle industriously rolls a ball of fresh buffalo dung, its tiny legs working tirelessly. Insects swarm, each playing their part in the endless cycle of life and decay. The Cape buffalo herd grazes in the tall grass, their massive bodies moving with surprising grace. Calves stay close to their mothers, occasionally nudging for reassurance, while the adults remain vigilant, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. Ears twitch and nostrils flare as the buffalo test the wind, reading the invisible messages carried on the breeze. Their sense of smell is acute, able to detect the faintest hint of a predator or rival herd. Two bull buffalo engage in a slow, powerful contest, their immense horns clashing with a dull thud. This is not a fight to the death, but a ritual of dominance, a test of strength and will that determines the hierarchy within the herd. Oxpecker birds ride on the backs of the buffalo, their sharp beaks picking at ticks and parasites. This partnership is ancient and mutually beneficial, a quiet alliance in the wild. A young calf nurses beneath the watchful gaze of its mother, her massive frame a living shield against the threats that lurk in the grass. The bond between them is fierce and unbreakable. The herd shifts as one, a living wall of muscle and horn. Dust rises in the morning light, swirling around their hooves as they move to fresher grazing. The eyes of the buffalo are deep and intelligent, reflecting the vastness of the land they call home. Each animal is aware of its place in the intricate web of savanna life. Guinea fowl dart through the grass at the herd's feet, their quick movements stirring insects into the air. The buffalo pay them little mind, accustomed to the constant bustle of smaller creatures. In the distance, a giraffe browses on the tender leaves of an acacia, its long neck swaying gently. The great and small coexist here, each species carving out its own niche in the ecosystem. Suddenly the herd becomes alert, heads snap up, bodies tense, and a ripple of unease passes through the group. The matriarch leads the response, her instincts honed by years of survival. Hooves paw at the earth, and a low, rumbling snort warns any would-be threat that these giants are not to be trifled with. The calves are ushered to the center, surrounded by a wall of protective adults. The herd bunches together, forming a defensive circle with their horns facing outward. This ancient strategy has saved countless generations from lions and other predators. Flies buzz in the shafts of sunlight, drawn to the heat and the scent of the herd. The buffalo barely notice, their focus fixed on the world beyond the grass. In this vast, untamed land, the Cape buffalo are both guardians and survivors, their presence a testament to the raw power and delicate balance of the African wilderness. As the tension ebbs, the herd settles once more, their breath visible in the cool morning air. Life on the savannah continues, each moment a dance between caution and calm, strength and serenity. The lead hunter has crept to within 30 meters of the formidable bull. The air is thick with tension, the only sounds the distant calls of birds and the faint rustle of dry grass beneath the hunter's careful steps. The savannah stretches wide and golden, dotted with acacia shadows, the morning sun casting long, wavering patterns across the earth. This is the moment of truth, the culmination of hours of silent tracking. Every blade of grass, every shifting breeze seems to hold its breath. The hunter rises slowly to one knee, his movement so smooth it barely disturbs the grass. The world narrows to a tunnel of focus, the hunter's heartbeat echoing in his ears, the scent of earth and animal thick in the air. The buffalo, a living mountain of muscle and horn, senses a flicker of movement. Its massive head lifts, nostrils flaring, ears swiveling to catch the faintest sound. Its eyes, dark and intelligent, scan the grassland, searching for the source of its unease. For a heartbeat, the world stands still. The buffalo's gaze is unwavering, ancient instincts warring with curiosity and caution. The air vibrates with the silent communication between predator and prey. There is no time to hesitate. The balance of life and death hangs by a thread, stretched taut in the golden light. The bowstring is drawn back, sinew creaking softly, the arrow's shaft trembling with pent-up energy. The hunter's muscles are coiled, every fibre attuned to the moment. He aims not for the thick armoured hide, but for the massive hindquarters where muscle and blood flow thickest. The calculation is precise, honed by generations of experience. With a soft thwump, the arrow leaps from the bow, slicing through the air with deadly intent. The arrow arcs through the shimmering heat, its flight almost invisible against the sunlit haze. Time seems to slow, the world reduced to the silent passage of wood and feather. The arrow finds its mark, burying deep into the bull's flank. The fletched tail quivers, a stark contrast against the dark hide. For a moment, the giant animal seems merely surprised. It flinches, muscles rippling beneath its hide, dust rising in a small cloud around its hooves. The impact is like a wasp's sting, sharp, sudden, and confusing. Then the herd erupts. Buffaloes surge forward in a wave of panic, hooves tearing at the earth, dust billowing in their wake. The air fills with the thunder of their flight, a living storm of muscle and fear. The wounded bull bellows, confusion and rage mingling in its cry. It crashes through the undergrowth branches, snapping beneath its weight, the rest of the herd thundering alongside, driven by the primal urge to escape. The ground trembles beneath the stampede, grass flattened by the relentless pounding of hooves. The earth itself seems to shudder, echoing the chaos above. The peaceful savanna is transformed in an instant. Dust swirls in the golden light, particles catching the sun as the calm is shattered by the wild, elemental force of the fleeing herd. In the aftermath, silence returns, broken only by the distant rumble of hooves. The landscape bears the scars of the stampede, flattened grass, torn branches, and a lingering haze of dust. The buffalo herd, now a distant blur, moves as one, their formation shifting instinctively to protect the wounded and the young. The wounded bull, however, lags behind, its gait uneven, its breath coming in heavy bursts. The poison on the arrow begins its work, seeping into the bull's bloodstream. The animal's movements grow erratic, its head tossing, nostrils flaring as it tries to make sense of the pain. The savanna holds its breath once more. Predators and scavengers, ever watchful, sense the shift in the air, the vulnerability of the wounded giant. The wounded bull, now separated from the herd, becomes unpredictable. Its eyes are wild, its movements erratic, driven by pain and the instinct to survive. It may run for miles, crashing through brush and thicket, or it may double back, using the dense cover to mask its presence, ready to defend itself with lethal force. The ground where the arrow snapped is marked by a smear of blood, vivid against the dry earth. The scent draws flies, and the broken shaft is a silent testament to the drama that has just unfolded. The risks are immense. The wounded buffalo, its senses sharpened by pain and fear, is at its most dangerous. Every shadow, every sound, a potential threat. A single charge from such a beast is a force of nature, unstoppable, unreasoning and deadly. In this environment, there is no room for error. Every decision, every movement must be precise. The calm that follows is not relief, but a deep, measured confidence, born of respect for the animal, the land, and the ancient dance between hunter and hunted. The ground tells the story, deep tracks, splashes of blood, the subtle signs of a wounded animal's passage. The savannah is a living record, every mark a clue to the drama still unfolding. The pursuit must continue, but now the hunters move with even greater caution, reading the land, the wind, and the behavior of the wounded giant. The savannah holds its secrets close, and the next chapter of this ancient struggle is about to unfold, one of patience, vigilance, and the relentless will to survive. The first light of dawn filters through the tangled branches, painting the bush in pale gold. The air is thick with anticipation, every sound magnified in the hush that follows the shot. The poison, now coursing through the buffalo's veins, begins its slow, inevitable work. The ground is still, but the wilderness is alive with subtle clues. The pursuit resumes, but now the landscape itself becomes the storyteller. The earth is a canvas of signs. Hoofprints press deep into the dust, their edges sharp and fresh, revealing the animal's weight and urgency. Each print is studied, the spacing between them betraying the buffalo's faltering strength as the poison takes hold. The silence is broken only by the distant call of a hornbill and the faint rustle of wind through the acacia leaves. The hunters move with deliberate care, but it is the environment that speaks loudest. A snapped twig, still green at the break, points the way. The undergrowth is disturbed, branches bent and grass flattened, marking the desperate passage of a wounded beast. Blood becomes the most telling sign. Drops of dark red glisten on the dry leaves and soil, each one a grim marker on the trail. The pattern of the blood changes, at first scattered, then pooling where the animal paused, its strength waning. The scent of iron lingers in the air, mingling with the earthy aroma of the bush. The buffalo's path is erratic now. Here, a patch of churned earth where it stumbled. There, a tree with bark, freshly gouged by horns in a moment of pain and frustration. The ground tells of struggle, deep furrows where hooves dug in, clumps of hair snagged on thorns, and the occasional imprint of a heavy body resting if only for a moment. The sun climbs higher, its heat pressing down on the land. Insects drone in the stillness, and the shadows grow shorter. The trail leads through thickets where visibility is measured in inches, every shadow a potential hiding place. The air is tense, charged with the knowledge that the buffalo, though weakened, is still dangerous. The sounds of the wild become sharper, an urgent flutter of wings, the sudden hush as a flock of guinea fowl scatters, the distant alarm call of a vervet monkey. Each sound is weighed, each silence considered. The environment is both ally and adversary, offering clues but also concealing danger. At last the trail narrows to a dense thicket. The ground is churned and stained, the air heavy with the scent of sweat and blood. The buffalo lies ahead, its massive form barely visible through the tangled brush. Its chest rises and falls in labored breaths, the struggle etched into the earth around it, a final testament to the relentless pursuit and the unforgiving wild. The moment the great bull breathes its last, the atmosphere shifts from tense pursuit to focused, communal work. In the wild, the concept of communal effort is not unique to humans. Many animal species exhibit remarkable teamwork and cooperation. The hunt may be the work of a few, but the harvest and the benefits are shared by all. There is an air of jubilation, but it is tempered with a practical urgency. In nature, nothing is wasted. Every part of a successful hunt or harvest is utilized. The process of butchering or processing food in the wild is a marvel of skill and cooperation. The first steps are often taken with precision and care. The hunters work with an anatomical precision that would rival a surgeon's. They open their prize with practiced ease, their movements economical and efficient. The materials gathered are valuable resources, destined to be used for various purposes within the community. As the layers are peeled back, the sheer scale of their prize becomes apparent. The massive rib cage, the powerful muscles of the legs, the vital organs. Each part has a name and a purpose. a designated use within the community's economy of survival. The division of labor is instinctual and seamless. Some members work on removing the large cuts of meat, separating muscle from bone. Others begin the task of harvesting the organs. The liver, heart, and kidneys are considered delicacies and are often the first parts to be consumed, a rewarding feast for the tired hunters. Younger members work to collect smaller pieces of food and fat from the source. Every member has a role, and they work together with a cheerful, synchronized energy, their chatter and calls filling the air. This is more than just processing food. It is a reaffirmation of their community bonds. The sharing begins here, in the wild, long before the food reaches their homes. As large sections are cut free, they are immediately allocated. The leader or alpha may receive a symbolic portion, but the vast majority of the food is destined for the entire group. This principle of sharing is the cornerstone of many animal societies. It ensures the well-being of every individual and reinforces the trust and interdependence that allows them to thrive in this challenging environment. As dusk settles over the Yaeda Valley, the landscape is transformed. The sky, awash in deep orange and violet, stretches endlessly above the savanna, while the last rays of sunlight flicker across the tall grasses and acacia trees. The air cools, carrying with it the earthy scent of dust and wild herbs, mingling with the distant calls of birds returning to their roosts. In this moment the wilderness comes alive with a subtle shift. Herds of buffalo, once scattered and wary, now move cautiously through the tall grass, their massive forms blending with the shadows. The antelope, ever alert, graze in the open, ears flicking at the slightest sound. Predators, too, begin to stir, lions and hyenas emerging from their daytime slumber, their senses attuned to the rhythms of the night. The cycle of life is ever present here. Every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest mammal, is bound by the same unyielding law: to survive, to adapt, to find nourishment in a world that offers both abundance and hardship. The buffalo, powerful and resilient, graze on the tough grasses, their movements slow and deliberate, always aware of the dangers that lurk nearby. As night deepens, the sounds of the savanna shift. The chirping of insects grows louder, a constant chorus beneath the vast sky. Frogs croak from hidden pools, and the distant roar of a lion echoes across the valley, a reminder of the delicate balance between hunter and hunted. The air is thick with anticipation, every breath a testament to the struggle and beauty of existence in this wild place. The taste of survival is not just found in the flesh of the buffalo or the fruits of the land, but in the very air itself, in the mingling scents of earth, smoke, and wildflowers, in the cool breeze that sweeps across the plains, in the knowledge that every living thing here is part of a greater whole. The environment is both provider and challenger, shaping the lives of all who dwell within its bounds. In the darkness, the stars emerge in their thousands, casting a gentle light over the land. The constellations, unchanged for millennia, watch over the endless cycle of life and death, of hunger and fulfillment. Here survival is not a single act, but a continuous dance, a harmony between animal, plant and earth, each playing its part in the grand tapestry of the wild. The taste of survival, in its truest form, is the flavor of the land itself, untamed, raw, and enduring. It is the essence of the wild, captured in every breath, every sound, every heartbeat beneath the African sky. As the fire dwindles to a bed of glowing embers, the vast African wilderness settles into a profound silence, broken only by the distant calls of nocturnal creatures and the gentle rustle of the savanna grass beneath the night breeze. In this moment, the land itself seems to breathe, a living, interconnected tapestry where every element, from the smallest insect to the towering baobab, plays a vital role in the balance of life. The aftermath of the hunt is not marked by chaos or waste, but by a seamless return to equilibrium. The earth absorbs what remains, nourishing the soil, feeding the cycle that sustains both predator and prey. As dawn approaches, the first light reveals a landscape that bears only the faintest trace of the night's events. The buffalo herds, ever watchful, continue their ancient migrations, while the grasslands recover, undisturbed and resilient. Waterways, the lifeblood of the ecosystem, flow steadily, carrying nutrients and life across the plains. Every drop is part of a cycle that has endured for millennia, supporting an intricate web of existence. Even the smallest creatures contribute to this balance. Termites aerate the soil, wildflowers attract pollinators, and each species, in its own way, ensures the health and renewal of the land. Nothing is wasted. Scavengers and decomposers fulfill their roles, returning nutrients to the earth, while new growth emerges, fed by the remnants of what once was. The rhythm of the wild is dictated by the seasons, rain and drought, abundance and scarcity. Each shift brings renewal, and every living thing adapts, finding its place within the ever-turning wheel of life. The ancient trees, silent witnesses to countless generations, anchor the landscape. Their roots bind the soil, their branches shelter life, and their presence is a testament to endurance and harmony. The forces of nature, wind, rain, sun, sculpt the land, shaping habitats and guiding migrations. Every element is in constant dialogue, a subtle negotiation that maintains the fragile balance of the wild. Predators and prey, plants and pollinators, all are bound by the same unspoken contract: to take only what is needed, to give back in turn, and to respect the limits set by the land itself. Renewal is constant. Seeds are scattered, new life takes root, and decay becomes the foundation for future growth. The wild is both ancient and ever new, shaped by cycles of birth, death, and regeneration. This is the legacy of coexistence, a world where every being, seen and unseen, is part of a greater whole. The balance is delicate yet enduring, maintained by countless acts of restraint, adaptation, and respect. The wild is a masterwork of complexity, its beauty found in the details. The glint of dew at dawn, the silent passage of clouds, the hidden lives unfolding beneath the surface. Under the vast starlit sky, the wilderness endures, timeless, resilient, and whole. Its legacy is not written in monuments or artifacts, but in the quiet persistence of life, the subtle harmony of all things living and wild. As the first light of morning touches the land, the story of coexistence continues, unbroken, unspoiled, and as vital as the breath of the earth itself. In these wild places, the true meaning of legacy is found, not in dominance, but in balance, not in conquest, but in the quiet, enduring partnership between land and life. The lesson of the wild is clear. Coexistence is not a choice, but a necessity, a timeless truth that sustains the world and all who call it home. As the echoes of the night fade and the sun rises once more, the legacy of coexistence endures, etched into the land, carried on the wind, and alive in every heartbeat of the wild. As the golden light of morning stretches across Yaeda Valley, a different kind of life awakens, one that moves slowly, quietly, yet shapes the very fabric of the ecosystem. Here, the unique flora are not mere background, but silent architects, each species finely tuned to the rhythms and challenges of the land. The resilient baobab, with its swollen trunk, stands as a living reservoir. Its bark is thick and fire-resistant, storing thousands of liters of water drawn from deep underground during the brief rainy season. In the heart of drought, this ancient tree becomes a lifeline, its moisture-rich wood sustaining countless creatures from elephants to birds. When the rains finally come, the baobab bursts into bloom. Its pale flowers open at dusk, inviting bats and bush babies to pollinate under the cover of darkness. Acacia trees, scattered across the savanna, have evolved a symbiotic defense. Their delicate leaves are protected by inch-long thorns, and in some species, tiny swollen chambers inhabited by biting ants. In exchange for shelter, the ants fiercely guard the acacia from hungry herbivores, a living alliance that ensures mutual survival. Beneath the undulating grasslands, myriad grasses anchor the soil with intricate root networks. These roots prevent erosion during torrential rains, while their tough fibrous blades withstand the relentless grazing of antelope and buffalo. Some species, like red oatgrass, can enter a dormant state, curling their leaves and halting growth to survive the harshest dry spells, only to revive with the first scent of rain. Hidden in the shade of larger trees, wildflowers and succulents make their home. The star-shaped blossoms of the desert rose unfurl only after rainfall, their vivid colors attracting bees and butterflies in a brief, dazzling display. Meanwhile, the fleshy leaves of aloes and euphorbias store precious water, their bitter sap a deterrent to all but the most determined browsers. In the tangled undergrowth, the fig tree drops its tiny seeds, each encased in a nutrient-rich fruit. These figs are a keystone resource, feeding birds, primates, and even reptiles. Their roots snake through the earth, binding banks and channeling moisture, quietly reinforcing the valley's resilience. Lichens and mosses, often overlooked, cling to rocks and tree trunks. They capture morning dew, slowly releasing moisture into the air and soil, providing a micro-habitat for insects and nourishing the next generation of seedlings. Together, these plants form a complex, interdependent web. Their adaptations, thorns, water storage, symbiotic relationships, and dormancy, are responses to the valley's cycles of rain and drought, fire and regeneration. Each species, whether towering above or hidden below, plays an essential role, capturing sunlight, creating shelter, cycling nutrients, and sustaining the myriad forms of life that call Yaeda Valley home. In this way, the flora of Yaeda Valley are more than survivors. They are engineers of balance, quietly shaping the destiny of the land. Their silent, steadfast presence ensures that the wild endures season after season in a harmony as intricate and enduring as the valley itself. Beneath the waving grasses and within the tangled roots, an unseen multitude stirs. Insects, tiny, tireless, and astonishingly diverse, form the living foundation upon which Yaeda Valley's ecosystem rests. Their presence is subtle, yet their influence is profound. As the first rays of sun warm the valley floor, columns of matabele ants march in disciplined lines. These specialized raiders scour the landscape for termites, their powerful jaws snapping through tunnels and galleries. Each raid is a carefully orchestrated event with scouts, soldiers, and workers performing distinct roles. When the spoils are gathered, the returning ants aerate and enrich the soil, their tunnels and discarded husks improving its structure and fertility for seeds and roots above. Nearby, dung beetles emerge from the shadows. With astonishing efficiency, they sculpt and roll balls of dung across the savanna, burying them as food stores or nurseries for their young. This simple act accelerates nutrient cycling, returning vital minerals to the earth and reducing the spread of parasites that could threaten grazing herds. In the wake of these beetles, the soil becomes richer, the grasslands greener. Hovering above delicate wildflowers, metallic green sweat bees and slender butterflies flit from bloom to bloom. Each visit transfers pollen, weaving invisible threads between scattered plants. This pollination ensures the next generation of baobabs, acacias, and wildflowers, sustaining the valley's botanical diversity. Some plants, like the elusive desert rose, rely on a single species of bee for their brief annual display, a testament to the intricate dependencies formed over millennia. Hidden beneath bark and within leaf litter, termites and wood-boring beetles labor in darkness. They break down fallen branches, dead roots, and even animal remains, transforming decay into the raw materials of new life. Their digestive processes release nutrients, while their subterranean tunnels improve water infiltration, supporting the resilience of the valley during drought. In the cool shadows, assassin bugs and praying mantises lie in wait, their predatory patience balancing insect populations. Dragonflies patrol the banks of seasonal streams, their agile flight keeping mosquito swarms in check. Even the smallest creatures, the springtails and mites, contribute, breaking down organic matter and releasing nutrients that feed the valley's endless cycle of growth. Every insect, no matter how small or fleeting, plays a part in this intricate ballet of survival. They are pollinators, recyclers, predators and prey, shaping the land in ways both visible and invisible. Their collective labor sustains the plants, feeds the birds and reptiles, and maintains the delicate equilibrium that defines Yaeda Valley. Within the silence of grass and soil, the insect world hums with purpose. Unseen but indispensable, these hidden engineers ensure that life in the valley endures, season after season, generation after generation. As the sun arcs across the sky and the months unfurl, Yaeda Valley is transformed by an ancient rhythm, the relentless turning of the seasons. Each cycle brings its own trials and abundance, shaping the destinies of every creature that calls this land home. In the dry season's grasp, the earth hardens and grasses fade to brittle gold. Water recedes into shrinking pools, their muddy margins crowded by zebra herds, impalas, and towering giraffes. Elephants, wise matriarchs leading their kin, carve deep furrows in search of hidden springs. Dust rises in lazy spirals, painting the air with a warm ochre haze. Predators, lean and patient, prowl the thinning cover, their movements slow and measured as prey grows scarce. In this time, survival depends on resilience and the memory of ancient trails. Yet, even as the valley seems to sleep, life endures in the shadows. Nocturnal hunters emerge, genets and civets silent beneath the stars. Tortoises burrow deep, conserving precious moisture, while seeds lie dormant, waiting for the promise of rain. Then, one afternoon, the wind shifts. Dark clouds gather on the horizon, rumbling with distant thunder. The first drops splatter the parched earth, and within hours the valley awakens. Rain falls in silver sheets, drumming on leaves and soaking the ground. Rivers swell, carving new paths through the landscape. Pools become mirrored oases, teeming with frogs and insects, their calls rising in jubilant chorus. Grasses erupt in a surge of green, stretching skyward with astonishing speed. Wildebeest and antelope calves totter on unsteady legs, born into a world of sudden plenty. Birds return in swirling flocks, bee-eaters, weavers and glossy starlings, each drawn by the explosion of life. Butterflies emerge in clouds of color, and dragonflies dart above the water's edge, signaling the valley's renewal. Throughout the wet months, abundance reigns. Herbivores feast, their coats sleek and bellies round. Crocodiles bask on muddy banks, eyes half-lidded as fish swarm in the rising streams. The air hums with insects, and the night is alive with the voices of frogs and nightjars. Gradually the rains retreat, pools shrink and grasses yellow once more. The bounty fades, and the valley braces for another dry season. Yet each creature carries forward the memory of rain, stored in fat reserves, buried seeds, and the next generation of life. In Yaeda Valley, the seasons are more than weather. They are the heartbeat of the land. Each cycle weaves a tapestry of change, testing the strength and adaptability of its wild inhabitants. And in this ceaseless turning, the valley endures, timeless, resilient, forever renewed. As dawn unfurls over Yaeda Valley, the world stirs not in silence but in a chorus of sound, a living symphony woven from countless voices. The day's overture begins with the soft, rolling grumble of distant lions, their calls lingering in the cool air, a reminder of the unseen power lurking in the shadows. Above, hornbills and starlings burst into song, their trills and whistles darting between the branches like playful rivals. Each bird's note is precise, purposeful, a message carried on the wind. A breeze slides through the valley, rustling the tall grasses in gentle waves. It whispers secrets to the acacia trees, their leaves trembling in reply. Sometimes The wind gathers strength, bending the reeds along the river's edge and sending a chorus of soft hisses across the water, a living instrument shifting from gentle lullaby to urgent crescendo. Down by the pools and streams the soundtrack deepens. Frogs announce their presence in rhythmic pulses, their calls overlapping in a tapestry of croaks and chirrups. Dragonflies flicker above the water, their wings humming with a faint electric buzz. Insects join the orchestra, from the steady metallic trill of cicadas to the quick clicking calls of crickets, each a thread in the valley's intricate soundscape. As midday heat settles, the pace slows. The laughter of baboons echoes from the rocky outcrops, sharp and sudden, while the low, guttural murmurs of buffalo drift across the plains. A herd of zebra huffs and snorts, their hooves thudding softly against the earth as they shift positions. The ever-watchful ears of impalas flick at the faintest crackle, alert to the stealthy footfalls of a prowling leopard, its passage almost silent yet betrayed by the occasional snap of a twig. In the afternoon the wind brings change, thunderheads gather and the valley holds its breath. The first fat raindrops slap the dust, each impact a note in a quickening rhythm. Water trickles, then rushes as streams awaken and flow with renewed vigor. Birds cry out in celebration, their voices rising above the drumming rain in a jubilant, chaotic choir. As dusk approaches, the valley's melody shifts once more. Nightjars take up the refrain, their haunting calls floating over the darkening grasslands. Hyenas whoop and cackle in the distance, while elephants rumble in low tones, their conversations felt as much as heard. Crickets resume their steady cadence, and somewhere, deep in the underbrush, a solitary owl hoots. Under a sky spangled with stars, Yaeda Valley does not sleep. Instead it hums, whispers and roars, a ceaseless wild symphony, ancient as the land itself. Here the language of the wild is written in sound. Each note, each silence is a story echoing across the ages, shaping the world long before and long after the footsteps of man. As darkness deepens over Yaeda Valley, a new world awakens, one ruled by shadow and silence, where the unseen become the architects of the night. The last blush of twilight fades, and the landscape transforms beneath the pale, watchful gaze of the moon. Cool air settles across the savanna, carrying with it the secrets of creatures that thrive when the sun has slipped away. From the dense thickets, the first rustle signals the emergence of the African civet. With masked eyes, alert and body low to the ground, it glides silently through the undergrowth, pausing to sniff the air. Its nose twitches, searching for the scent of ripe fruit or unsuspecting insects. Above, a white-faced owl perches in stillness, its round eyes reflecting the faintest glimmer of starlight. With a sudden, silent swoop, it vanishes into the darkness, leaving only the whisper of feathers behind. In the open grasslands, a pair of bat-eared foxes venture out, their oversized ears pivoting towards every subtle sound, the scuttle of a beetle, the faint rustle of a lizard darting for cover. They communicate in soft, high-pitched chirps, weaving between tufts of grass as they hunt. Not far away, a porcupine ambles along a well-worn path, quills rattling gently with each step, its nose buried in the earth in search of roots and tubers. The riverbanks become a stage for silent drama. A crocodile slides from the mud into the water, its eyes just above the surface, watching for movement. On the far shore, a serval cat stalks through the reeds, its long legs and spotted coat blending seamlessly with the moon-dappled shadows. Each step is measured, each pause deliberate, as it listens for the faintest squeak of a rodent. High in the acacia branches, bush babies leap from limb to limb, their wide eyes glowing in the gloom. They utter soft, plaintive calls, marking their territory and seeking companions in the tangled canopy. Below, a genet cat slinks along a fallen log, its tail flicking, its gaze fixed on the flutter of a moth drawn to the faint glow of bioluminescent fungi. The air grows thick with the chorus of insects. Katydids and crickets rise in a steady pulsing rhythm, joined by the distant bark of a jackal. Fireflies blink in and out of existence, painting brief constellations in the grass. Farther off, the deep, resonant roar of a lion punctuates the hush, a proclamation of dominance that rolls across the valley and lingers in the bones of every listening creature. Around hidden waterholes, herds of wildebeest and zebra gather cautiously, their silhouettes barely visible, ears flick, nostrils flare. The night belongs to the watchful and the wary. From the undergrowth, a pair of eyes glint, a hyena, patient and unhurried, surveys the scene, waiting for the cover of deeper darkness to make its move. As the hours slip by, the valley is alive with quiet industry and secret exchanges. Predators and prey, hunters and foragers, all play their part in this nightly ballet. The moon arcs overhead, casting shifting patterns of silver and shadow, until at last the first hints of dawn color the horizon. Yet for these hours, the Yaeda Valley is a realm of whispers and movement, a place where survival dances on the edge of darkness, and the mysteries of the wild are written in every pawprint and every fleeting shadow. Beneath the moon's silvery gaze, the Yaeda Valley's river winds silently through the landscape, a lifeline carved by time, shaping worlds above and below its surface. Its waters, cool and dark, ripple with quiet purpose, nourishing more than the thirsty herds that come and go. Here, in the shifting embrace of current and shadow, an entire universe thrives, largely unseen. In the shallows, schools of tilapia glide in synchrony, their scales catching faint glimmers of starlight. Each subtle flick of a fin stirs up clouds of silt, revealing tiny crustaceans and insect larvae, delicate links in the valley's intricate food chain. Among drifting reeds, cichlids defend their pebble nests with fierce devotion, their bright colors flashing as they guard clusters of eggs from opportunistic predators. Near the muddy banks, armored catfish prowl in slow, deliberate sweeps. Their whiskered mouths search the riverbed for morsels of decaying plants and fallen fruit, turning detritus into nourishment that will ripple up through the ecosystem. Water beetles and dragonfly nymphs dart between submerged roots, their bodies adapted for a life spent both above and below the water's surface. Ambitious hunters in a miniature world of perpetual movement. Deeper still, ancient turtles rest in patient silence, their shells mottled with algae, eyes half closed as they sense vibrations through the water. Occasionally, a long, sinuous form glides past, a monitor lizard, equally at home in river or on land, its tongue flickering for the scent of fish or amphibian prey. The river's surface is a shifting canvas. Frogs cluster on floating lilies, throats pulsing with rhythmic croaks that echo across the water. At the edge of the current, a slender reed snake undulates, barely disturbing the mirrored calm as it hunts for tadpoles. In the tangled roots of overhanging trees, small freshwater crabs emerge, their claws raised defensively, scavenging among the leaf litter for scraps. As the night deepens, the aquatic world pulses with unseen activity. Tiny silver minnows leap at the chase of a hunting kingfisher's shadow, while nocturnal eels weave through submerged logs, their movements ghostly and precise. Microscopic plankton drift in the moonlit water, feeding on the river's nutrients, sustaining life too small for the naked eye. Even the river's silence is alive. A chorus of bubbles, the whisper of current against stone, the faint splash of a fish breaking the surface. Here in these secret depths, the Yaeda Valley's river is more than a boundary or a source. It is a realm of constant renewal, where every ripple carries the memory of rain, and every creature is both architect and inheritor of this hidden, flowing world. As the first gold of dawn seeps across Yaeda Valley, a silent ballet unfolds, one as old as the land itself. Here, the interplay between predator and prey shapes every moment, every footstep, and every shadow cast upon the dew-laden grass. In the thickets, a serval cat crouches low, its amber eyes locked onto a covey of quail foraging among the roots. The serval's body is a study in patience, muscles coiled, whiskers trembling with anticipation. Each breath is measured as it calculates the distance, the angle, the wind. For the quail, every rustle and flutter is a message, a warning encoded in instinct. They peck quickly, eyes darting, bodies tense, as the invisible thread of caution binds their movements. Not far away, a troop of vervet monkeys navigates the canopy. Below, an African crowned eagle circles in the morning thermals, its keen gaze piercing the foliage. In a sudden burst, it stoops, wings folded, talons extended, targeting a distracted juvenile. The troop erupts in alarm calls, scattering through the branches. The eagle's strike is swift, decisive, a moment of predation witnessed only by the trembling leaves. Along the riverbank, a Nile monitor slides through the reeds, its forked tongue sampling the air. A family of frogs, camouflaged among the mossy stones, freezes as the shadow passes overhead. One leaps too soon, the monitor's jaws snap shut, a ripple of life and death vanishing into the undergrowth. In this world, the line between hunter and hunted is drawn anew with every heartbeat. Out on the savannah, herds of impala graze in cautious clusters, ears swiveling for the softest hint of danger. In the tall grass, a pair of cheetahs stalk, their bellies low, their gaze fixed on the weakest straggler. The air thickens with anticipation. Suddenly, an explosion of movement. Impala scatter in all directions, hooves drumming the earth. The cheetahs give chase, their bodies blurs of speed and grace. One impala falters, and the chase ends in a cloud of dust. Success for the predator, but only after countless failed attempts. In the shadows, scavengers wait. Spotted hyenas and black-backed jackals watch the unfolding drama, ready to claim what the hunters leave behind. Even the smallest creatures play their part. Dung beetles rolling away precious morsels, weaver birds alerting the grassland with their shrill alarms. Every pursuit and every escape is a thread in the valley's fabric. The dance of survival is not cruel, but necessary, a perpetual cycle that ensures balance. Predator and prey, bound together by evolution, shape the land as much as the wind and rain. In Yaeda Valley, the chase never ends. It is the heartbeat of the wild, an eternal rhythm echoing through grass, river, and sky, reminding all who dwell here that life and death are woven into the same tapestry. Above Yaeda Valley, the sky is a living canvas, its moods and motions shaping every life below. As the calendar turns, the valley succumbs to the slow breath of the seasons, each marked by its own symphony of weather. In the long, dry months, the sun reigns unchallenged. Its relentless gaze bakes the earth, drawing fine cracks across the mudflats and shrinking the river into a ribbon of silver. Dust devils spiral across the open plains, their dance scattering seeds and insects, while the acacia trees stand stoic, their leaves curled tight to conserve precious moisture. The wildlife adapts with silent resilience. Herds of zebra and wildebeest gather near dwindling waterholes, their movements dictated by the promise of a drink. Elephants carve deep furrows in search of hidden springs, their tusks and trunks reshaping the land with every effort. Birds cluster in the shade, wings drooped, their songs subdued beneath the weight of the heat. Even the insects retreat, burrowing into the cool embrace of soil and bark. Then, almost imperceptibly, the wind shifts, carrying with it the scent of distant rain. Dark clouds gather on the horizon, their bellies swollen with promise. Lightning forks across the sky in silent rehearsals, and the first drops fall, fat and warm, stirring the dust into the scent of renewal. The arrival of the rains is both gentle and fierce. Showers sweep across the valley in shimmering curtains, filling old riverbeds and coaxing green shoots from the brittle earth. With water comes transformation. Grasslands erupt in a surge of life, painting the valley in brilliant greens. Puddles teem with tadpoles, and the air vibrates with the calls of newly awakened frogs. Antelope calves are born into a world of abundance, their mothers grazing on the lush bounty. Birds return from distant migrations, their plumage resplendent as they court and nest. But the rains are not without peril. Torrents carve new channels through the landscape, uprooting trees and reshaping banks. Burrows flood, forcing small mammals to higher ground, while predators adjust their hunting grounds to the shifting terrain. Even the river, swollen and swift, becomes both a lifeline and a hazard, its currents hiding crocodiles and sweeping away the unwary. As the cycle turns once more, the storms subside. Pools shrink, the grasses fade to gold, and the valley braces for the return of the dry. Yet in every cracked stone and every blade of grass, the memory of rain lingers, a promise that the sky will pulse again. In Yaeda Valley, weather is not merely a backdrop, but a silent architect, sculpting, nourishing, and testing all who call this place home. Its whispers and tempests remind every creature that survival is a pact with the sky, renewed with each passing season. Beneath the wild rhythms of life and weather, Yaeda Valley holds a more ancient story, etched in stone, written long before the first hoof or paw touched its surface. The valley itself is a monument to time, its contours sculpted by forces both violent and patient across millions of years. The bedrock here is a mosaic of geological epochs. Layers of ancient gneiss and schist form the valley's oldest bones, metamorphic rocks born deep within the earth, squeezed and heated beyond recognition in the planet's restless interior. Above them, volcanic outcrops bear witness to cataclysmic eruptions that once rained fire and ash, reshaping the land in a matter of days. Basalt flows cooled into dark, hard ribbons, now fractured by eons of wind and rain. Erosion, relentless and methodical, carved the valley's broad floor and steep escarpments. Over countless seasons, rivers gnawed at the rock, their muddy waters carrying away grains of sand and silt. Flash floods, sudden and fierce, gouged channels and left behind smooth, rounded stones, each a relic of ancient torrents. Scattered throughout the landscape are boulders adorned with lichen and moss, their surfaces pitted and grooved by centuries of exposure. Some stand as silent sentinels, remnants of landslides or the slow, inexorable creep of gravity down the valley's flanks. Others, split by the freeze and thaw of countless nights, reveal crystalline veins, quartz and feldspar glinting in the sun. In places, the earth opens to reveal fossilized remnants of creatures long vanished, imprints of ancient ferns pressed into shale, or the bones of antediluvian beasts preserved in sedimentary layers. These stones are the valley's true archivists, recording every upheaval, every shift in climate, every vanished river. Even now, the geology of Yaeda Valley is a living process. Rocks fracture and weather, soil forms and washes away, and new layers are quietly laid down. The landscape is never finished, always in motion. Each stone a page in a story that began before memory and will continue long after the present has passed. Here, in the silent language of rock and earth, Yaeda Valley remembers. Its geological tapestry is the foundation upon which all life depends, a testament to the deep, unhurried artistry of time itself. Beneath the sunlit canopies and upon the valley's ancient stones, an invisible web stretches across Yaeda Valley, a lattice of life, woven from the countless connections between every creature, plant, and microbe. Here, nothing exists in true isolation. Every breath, every movement, every quiet transformation is part of an intricate system, balanced and dynamic. Roots of acacia trees delve deep into the soil, drawing up water and minerals from the earth's hidden veins. Their fallen leaves return nutrients to the ground, nourishing the grasses that sway across the valley floor. Grazing herds trim these grasses, shaping the landscape with each mouthful, their hooves churning the soil to create pockets for new seeds to settle. Dung beetles arrive, rolling and burying the waste, aerating the earth and cycling nutrients for the next generation of plants. Tiny invertebrates, ants, termites, and earthworms work ceaselessly beneath the surface, decomposing leaf litter and dead wood. Their tunnels allow water to flow and roots to spread, unseen architects maintaining the soil's delicate balance. In the canopy above, birds flit from branch to branch, scattering seeds in their droppings, pollinating flowers as they feed on nectar and insects. Predators watch from the shadows, their presence shaping the movements and behaviors of prey, keeping populations in check and ensuring the health of the herds. Scavengers, hyenas, vultures, and even the smallest beetles move in after the hunt, stripping bones clean, returning vital elements to the soil. Even the smallest streams are lifelines, their waters linking distant corners of the valley. Aquatic insects hatch and emerge, becoming food for birds and bats, while amphibians migrate between pools, carrying nutrients and energy across the landscape. Fungi entwine themselves with tree roots, forming symbiotic partnerships, exchanging minerals for sugars, supporting forests that shelter 1,000 forms of life. Above it all, the wind carries pollen, spores, and the faint scents of flowering plants, silent messengers that connect distant parts of the valley. Clouds gather, shaped by the transpiration of leaves and the breath of countless animals, returning as rain to begin the cycle anew. In Yaeda Valley, the boundaries between species blur. Each life form, no matter how small or fleeting, plays a vital role in the survival of the whole. The web is resilient, yet fragile. Every thread essential, every connection a testament to the valley's profound interconnectedness. Here the story of life is not one of solitary struggle, but of shared existence, a symphony of relations, ever evolving, ever entwined.